Lauren Southern recently attempted to travel to the UK, as did Brittany Pettibone, to do their thing more or less. Brittany and her boyfriend were there to speak in Hyde Park and to interview right-wing figure Tommy Robinson, and Southern may have been there to do interviews and would likely have engaged in activism as well. Both were detained, questioned, and sent packing out of the country, reportedly under the UK's Schedule 7 legislation, which deals with terrorism and extremism. I've said a bit of my piece about this on Twitter, but I feel like there's a little bit more to be said. Much of what is being talked about is in regard to whether or not Lauren is a racist, or that she is a journalist, or that she isn't an extremist. But it seems like a lot of people have forgotten one key element of her identity. In the UK, she is a foreign national. She is not a UK citizen. Now, it is true that Lauren is a Canadian citizen, and as such is also a Commonwealth citizen. However, she is not a British citizen, which means that she has a different status, according to some Brits I've spoken to, after they noted the nuance of the citizenry issue in my original script. The Wikipedia article says that Commonwealth citizens who do not have the right of abode are subject to immigration control, and Southern apparently does not have the right of abode. If you look at her notice of refusal, it says that she has sought entry only as a visitor and not sought entry under any other provisions under the immigration rules. In other words, she's a foreign citizen to the UK, and she's subject to the rules just like any other foreigner. Allow me to offer an observation as a sometime traveler that will come in handy should you travel internationally. You have no right to enter another country, and you may have no rights within that country. You don't have First or Second Amendment rights in any country, save for the US. If another country extends those rights to you, that's at their discretion. If another state lets you in, it is a privilege. It is their right to deny you entry if they so desire, plain and simple. They have borders, they have laws, they have sovereignty. Ironically, this is a right that Southern wants countries to exercise for their own good. Of course, the outrage has been predictable. Several YouTubers, including Styx, complained about the detention and refusal of entry of these women, and Styx further complained that the United States and Canada would say nothing about this incident. He is partially correct about this. The United States and Canada, if they are smart, will say nothing about this. This right of refusal to non-citizens is something that the US and Canada enjoy, and they employ this right quite often. Why would they criticize another state's right that they themselves exercise all the time? The US has a pretty decent laundry list of reasons that it uses to deny entry to foreign nationals. We can't really criticize another sovereign state for enjoying that right as well. When the UK banned and refused entry to Southern and Pettibone, they were well within their sovereign rights. But that doesn't mean that what they did was right. Therein lies the subtle nuance. It's far more justifiable to be angry about the hypocrisy of their reasoning than the actual action. It's not that the UK law was applied, it was how the law was applied. In a sense, this is an abuse of their right. They are exercising their legitimate power for illegitimate reasons. This doesn't justify demanding that their rights be stripped, but rather that the public should protest this action to make the government realign its actions to match the interests of the people. As I said on Twitter, what happened to Lauren is hard to use as a fair litmus test of free speech in the UK because she's not a citizen and the laws are different for her. If you want to know how the UK treats its own citizens regarding free speech, then I suggest the sad and outrageous case of the one and only Count Dankula. Additionally, Dave Cullen's video on the current culture of the UK, extremism, and freedom of speech is good as well, as he highlights the hypocrisy of the UK banning Lauren Southern, but one has to watch it bearing in mind that the UK right to ban travelers, visitors, and non-citizens is actually a real right. Every bit as real as their hypocrisy in who they're banning and why. It's not wrong to restrict bad actors from entering a country, but it is a failure of your own citizenry when you've mislabeled irritating or disagreeable people as bad actors, and you let truly bad people into the public sphere. What this action does reveal is what the UK's attitude is regarding public safety, well-being, and legitimate threats. They're making sure the British population is protected from Lauren Southern, but Acid attacks are up sixfold in 6 years. Reported rape was up 120% from 2011 and 12 to 2016, and terror arrests were up 70% last year alone. Clearly, not only is the UK a tad hypocritical in who it deems fit to let in or kick out, but this also suggests tacit approval or tolerance of some societal ills or crimes, while Lauren Southern is not tolerated. It's understandable that the hypocrisy, misuse of legitimate power, and perhaps unjustified refusal of entry of Pettibone and Southern would cause outrage, but it's important to understand just how far such outrage can go and where it can be placed. One cannot be angry at the UK for having the right to refuse entry, nor for exercising that right, as pretty much every nation on Earth, including our own, does so. What is worthy of ire here is that the UK has not been as discriminatory of who has been entering the country from abroad, importing Islamic actors, behaviors, and problems. Had the UK been more concerned with actual crime and those importing it rather than political correctness, Southern and Pettibone's visits might have been rendered irrelevant in the first place.